Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Rejuvi 45. If you are looking for a community with an extraordinary commitment to developing our leaders differently, then you are in the right place. Thank you for being here. My name is Regina Hepp, and to my right, I am joined by
Scott Goddard.
like, how is that going to work? To my right, yeah, sorry, Scott.
No worries. I just had to think about it for a moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had me stumped too. And I'm Rob
yeah,
Marhula.
yeah. Thank you. Okay. That's a good place to get started today, being stumped. But thanks, Scott and Rob, for being here today. Today we are here with a topic called "Knowing is Squared," and it's actually a session within our kind of quick to insight mix of events inside of Rejuvi 45. It's the closing session. And squared. When we titled this, and the I started to think about the time in my life when I first learned about squaring numbers or cubing numbers. I can still remember that. I thought I was really cool and really smart when I first learned to do that. Do you guys remember that? Was that a thing for you guys?
I don't remember the grade, or the age per se. But it's interestingly enough, though, with grade school children, I'm now watching those, lights turn on, right, with them learning something new in regards to math, numbers, language, etc. So
Yeah,
definitely recalling the feeling.
yeah. Now what, okay, so you have younger children. So what kind of age are they being introduced to that nowadays?
There's a lot of math learning going on, for my youngest, who is 7, between first and second grade right now. And so there was a lot, there were a lot of the light bulb moments. And about 2 weeks ago, she got turned on to Sudoku puzzles. So that's a current event, and definitely lots of squares there, right? Not just two
Yeah,
squares.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Well, and almost a different type of square. That's
Yeah.
actually good that you bring that up. What about you, Rob?
I don't remember exactly when either, but I do remember as I got older, the squaring got more complicated.
Yeah.
But as Scott was saying too, on in terms of I don't have kids as that young, but when my kids who are now older were going through math, I feel like they're going through math a lot faster than we did, and
Hmm.
doing math earlier, more
Hmm.
complex concepts sooner in grade school than we ever did.
Hmm. Yeah. I think technically speaking, concepts like squares and cubes and roots and those sorts of things are a pre-algebra topic. So I don't know. I think back in the day, you'd get that like in, I don't know, fifth or sixth grade or something, middle schoolish kind of stuff. But it sounds like they're starting earlier nowadays. Anyway, I thought I was really cool when I learned to square numbers. And I think that one of the reasons why we titled today's session Knowing is Squared is because when you understand a square of something, it's two mirror things coming together, right? Eight squared is 8 times 8. It's two same things actually being multiplied against one another. And so that's why today is titled What It Is. Yep.
What's an interesting, certainly an interesting thought. And I know, we talk about the dimensions and the multifacets, of modern leadership.
Hmm.
And, when we're thinking about it kind of from that perspective, and this, new learning that goes on, right? Using children. And when you first learned this as an example, Reg, what do you think is unlocked in developing leaders the modern way?
Hmm. Well, okay, so I think that that's a great question, and I think that it's kind of like a two-part answer, right? And I think that one part of the answer is pretty simple. It's like you get growth, like you unlock growth when you develop people in the modern way. And when I talk about growth, it's not just growth for the leader, right? Growth for the human, but it's also growth for the business. That's the first part of the answer. And the second part of the answer is, well, what exactly do you unlock when you're trying to develop people the modern way? Well, what you unlock is you unlock what Rejuvi would call think to drive capability of the leader. So when you grow a leader, and if you are trying to understand the things that separate a really fantastic leader from, for example, a typical leader, we can start to we understand and we know mathematically, with a lot of strong data points, that there are three building blocks that start to come together that make someone really excellent, as a modern leader. And Rejuvi takes those building blocks and we put them together. What the leader what the leader sees, what they know, and what they do. I'm going to actually get a little. I always have these on the side, but it's these three. Oh, probably won't quite come together with this type of background.
If
But
you put if you put it in front of your face, it'll focus on the card.
oh, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now you
now I
can't
feel like I'm
see.
playing that drinking game, where you put cards on your head or something. Yeah, but you see these three things come together: what the leader sees, what the leader knows, and what the leader does. So that is one piece of the square coming together. That's the growth model for an individual leader. And when that comes together, you have this strong think to drive capability. The thing about modern leadership, though, is that it doesn't just take into account, the human. It takes into account the other living organism inside of a business situation, and that is the business itself. And so while the leader is thinking and driving through this see, no, do building blocks, the business is actually working on a very different growth model. It's trying to build and to sustain itself. And the building blocks that come together for it are, I'll put this, I'll play the game again. All right, let's see, I've got it right, work out here. It comes together with these, the outside building blocks. It's the organization's big picture, long-term capability. And then it's these two corridors, these corners right here. It's its midterm capability from intelligence and target. It's kind of like their new ways of working. And then it finishes up right here with its short-term implementation. So those are the four building blocks that come together that make this continuum of the business building and sustaining come to life. So I love this question so much, about what does an organization get when they start developing leaders the modern way? Because what they get is growth, and they get growth in a squared way. It's growth of the leader through think and drive, and it's growth of the business, through build and sustain, all at the same time. That's what they get.
No, it makes great sense. And now I'm digging into my gray matter a little bit here, but I think, squared and cubed, those are exponents, right? I think that's the proper terminology,
Mhm.
mathematically speaking, right? And what you're talking about is exponential growth, right? You're talking about this exponential growth of a leader, to really help drive, individual and organizational results. That's how I'm hearing it.
That's exactly right. It is exponential growth. But it's not just exponential growth of the leader, it's exponential growth of the business. Because
Right.
when you have this more dimensional model, right? When you have these two growth models coming together, you can understand things from an impact perspective that you've never been able to understand before. So now what you can do is you can say, okay, if I'm taking a look at one of the exponents, the human growth, you can say as that changes, right? So for example, as our leader capability changes in the C bucket or the no bucket or the do bucket, like maybe you say, what happens if we improve our C capability incrementally by 1%, right? What happens to our growth? For example, what happens to our turnover rate? Or for example, what happens to our error ratios or our customer service rates or our NPV scores? Or what happens, for example, to our market share? Those are the things that you can now start to correlate and causate because you understand modern leadership. And modern leadership in and of itself is an exponential model. It's squared. It's human growth times business growth. Okay, so we are moving to a little bit of a new format in the Rejuvi 45 sessions. So I should say we are starting an on-ramp process to our new format. We'll start our new format officially in the 4th season, which will begin in October of 2024. And that is as we come here and we ask one key question or other questions that start to come up as we present. And once those questions are answered, we wrap it up and let people get about their leadership jobs. So Scott and Rob, thank you for being with me today in the Rejuvi 45 session, Knowing is Squared. Always fun. We will be back together next week with a topic called Possibilities at the Ready, and that will be on Thursday, July 18th. Thank you everyone for being with us today, and we will talk to you soon.